This is our news, the weekend edition, and on the broadcast tonight, the tourism minister talks airlift to Grand Bahama. Plus, police on Grand Bahama and Abaco investigate a stabbing and 2 fires, and we'll introduce you to a local female airline executive whose magazine feature went viral.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Good evening, I'm Andrew Knowles, and thanks so much for joining us. Tourism Minister Dionisio de Aguilar is insisting the administration is doing all it can to increase airlift to Grand Bahama. His comments come more than a month after international and local airliners revealed they would be pulling out of Grand Bahama. Our Jasmine Brown has more in this report.
The tourism minister was candid in his comments as he insisted the airlift issue is a direct result of dwindling accommodations in Grand Bahama.
The first thing that we did was I charged the Ministry of Tourism to discover exactly how many hotel rooms we were attempting to sell. And when the number came back, it was staggeringly low. So there's 775 hotel rooms in Grand Bahama that we're trying to push. So as we developed our as we determined, okay, what are we going to do moving forward, the most critical thing, and this is what the government has charged us to do, is we got to grow the number of rooms because we don't have sufficient scale right now. It's half the size of the Hyatt for the whole of Freeport, right? So we've got to grow the number of hotel rooms, and this is what we're attempting to do with the Grand Lucayan project.
De Aguilar spoke to the issue after he was asked about the tourism ministry's plans to increase airlift to Grand Bahama after Sky Bahamas and Sunwing announced plans to stop flying to that destination. In a statement released by Sunwing last month, the company's chief marketing and technology officer, Janine Massey, revealed Sunwing Travel Group will finish off the final 2.5 months of 2018 servicing Grand Bahama and cut ties with the island in 2019 because the company has reached an impasse with the government. Massey explained that Sunwing had consistently exceeded its promised load factors when bringing Americans and Canadians to Grand Bahama and helped to keep many Grand Bahama hotels open.
When you look at the Sunwing numbers, they brought, I think, 6,436 persons into Grand Bahama. And I think they were limited by the amount they could bring in because there's just no more rooms. So that is what the government is attempting to do through its Grand Lucayan project.
But Sunwing is not the only airline to stop services. Months earlier, Sky Bahamas stopped their flights to Grand Bahama, with its CEO, Captain Randy Butler, revealing Sky Bahamas suspended flights 2 months ago because it had simply become too expensive to operate flights into Freeport. De Aguilar says their concerns have not gone unnoticed. He adds that in the meantime, officials are hoping that Bahamas Air can fill the obvious gap that has been created.
When you have scale, it's easier to generate lift. But in the meantime, as Bahamas Air falls under my portfolio, the Ministry of Tourism, my Deputy Director of Tourism, has been charged with growing, using Bahamas Air as a substitute for Sunwing to identify key markets in the United States to see where we want to put in charter service to bring people into Grand Bahama.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
All right, thanks a lot, Jasmine. In news from the crime beat, Grand Bahama police are investigating a stabbing incident that's left one man hospitalized. According to reports, the man was at a nightclub on the East Sunrise Highway in the wee hours of the morning when he was reportedly attacked by a group of men and stabbed above the body. He was transported to the Rand Memorial Hospital in a private vehicle and is listed in serious condition. The man also told police that the assailants also damaged his 2007 Honda Accord vehicle. Police are continuing their investigations. Jumping over to Abaco, police there have 2 separate fire investigations underway. In the first, police were called to a business establishment in the area of Crown Haven shortly after 3 a.m. Saturday. When they arrived on the scene, they met the single-story building on fire. Police got some assistance from area residents and were able to fully extinguish the blaze. However, the building was completely destroyed. Then about 2 hours later, officers were called to the Abaco ferry dock where 4 vehicles were engulfed in flames. That fire was subsequently extinguished as well. In other news, Western Air's Vice President of Operations and General Counsel, Rexy Roll, has had quite the year. She's a 29-year-old airline executive and attorney whose social media profile skyrocketed following a magazine feature. She spoke with our Jared Higgs.
Rexy Roll spends her days running the airline founded by her father, Rex Roll. Western Air is spreading its wings, and so is Rexy, an attorney by profession who doubles as Western Air's general counsel. The 29-year-old shot to social media stardom as articles profiling her success and role within her family's airline started popping up all over the internet.
A young lady who's a freelance writer out of New York sent me an Instagram message asking me, hey, can I do an article on you? It resulted in her writing this article that basically went viral, and as a result I've been doing a lot of speaking engagements and had various opportunities as a result of social media. And it also brought a lot of attention, international attention to Western Air, which is always great.
And viral it went. The article was picked up by magazines and publications all over the world. Many of the write-ups focus on the fact that Roll is a 29-year-old woman running an airline valued at $90 million. Another angle is the fact that the airline is owned by a black family.
Absolutely is important. Obviously, race is not so much of a major issue here in the Bahamas. I mean, there's a large population of black people, but throughout the world, it is still interesting to find out how inspired they are to see a black family-owned airline that is operating the way that we do. So even though because you're living it, you get complacent and it just seems like your norm, but essentially it really is rare to the world.
Tuesday was a red letter day for the airline, which was approved by local authorities to operate its new Embraer 50-seater jets. Roll was instrumental in the process, in constant communication with local agencies and her own team to move the process along as quickly as possible. While the certification procedure began earlier this year, Roll says the process was much longer than that.
We actually sent a notification that we wanted to do jets, introduce Embraer 145 jets. I think it was about 2 years ago. One thing after the other in terms of, in terms of what was available to us to do the certification process wasn't quite there. And so we had to wait.
But Roll says the wait was worth it, and so was the massive anticipation of their customers.
Once we got to the point of resubmitting the certification application, and they took this on, it started in February, and then it was a matter of nonstop training from I would say almost a week later. We had our maintenance department, we had our flight crews, our flight attendants, dispatchers, just an abundance of training. During the process itself, of course, for an operator, everything really boils down to, number one, what is our passenger experiencing and what are they waiting to experience? But also it goes down to economics. And here we already had made this significant investment into the jet, so it could not have come at a quicker time. And we get asked every day from passengers, when are the jets flying? When are the jets flying? So we're happy to now be able to give them a time frame.
Roll says she didn't start out at the top of the company. Her younger days were spent working as a baggage handler after school as the airline struggled through its infancy stage. 17 years after their first flight from Andros to Nassau, though, and Roll says they're looking beyond the bounds of this archipelago. She says with 4 new jets, 2 already in the country, they're ready to tackle new destinations in the Caribbean and Central America. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
All right, thanks a lot, Jared. And we will take our first break here, but still ahead tonight. Tourism officials say they're on top of the swine flu situation. That story and more when Our News returns.